Every year, an immense volume of raw material is pulled directly from African soil to feed the global apparel industry. This diagram tracks the scale of that extraction. An outward stream of raw textiles leaves the continent, valued at $15 billion a year. But on the return path, it imports $23 billion of finished clothing, creating an immediate $8 billion deficit. These figures come from UNESCO's first report on African fashion, which became a central focus of the conversation at Lagos Fashion Week. It creates a closed economic loop, where the continent supplies both the physical fiber and the cultural inspiration, yet buys back the finished product at a premium. Wealth drains out at every cycle. In the festival's manifesto, founder Omoyemi Akerele framed the problem with one sharp sentence: "The resources are ours, the value is theirs." She points out that this economic bleed occurs despite rising global demand and a clear abundance of local creative skill. The manifesto diagnoses the issue at its root. The wealth extraction happens because the legal and intellectual rights are held elsewhere. You can see exactly how this mechanism works by looking at Ankara. It is the print most people immediately recognize as the visual signature of African fashion. Yet Ankara actually started in the 1850s as a Dutch industrial imitation of Javanese batik. Companies in the Netherlands built machines to replicate the intricate wax-resist effect. When the prints failed to sell in Indonesia, they found a willing market in West Africa and, crucially, legally claimed the design rights to the patterns. By this century, the physical manufacturing of these prints shifted heavily to China. Chinese producers capture their margin by reproducing those exact Dutch designs and undercutting the original creators on price. Over 150 years, the cloth proves a strict economic rule. The money never sits with the maker. It stays with whoever owns the initial drawing. Today, that fabric arrives at ports in West Africa as an incomplete product, shipped in standard 6 or 12-yard segments. Local tailors and seamstresses then take those raw segments and perform the highly skilled, entirely personalized manual work of turning them into bespoke garments for individual clients. Yet this final, intricate step is consistently the least paid in the entire life cycle of clothing. Physical production is an economic trap. It is a perpetual price fight, and the only way to defend your position is to be the absolute cheapest option available. Someone is always willing to be cheaper. The makers are locked in a race to the bottom because the true value of the garment was permanently extracted before they ever threaded a needle. The obvious reaction to this dynamic is to build local factories, keeping the entire physical supply chain inside the region. But laying bricks for a mill takes years and hundreds of millions of dollars. Manufacturers face daily constraints like crippling power grid failures, port congestion, and heavily delayed import schedules. The Lagos Manifesto offers an alternative pillar that is much faster and significantly cheaper: strict intellectual property protection. While scaling capacity requires decades of capital, keeping the legal rights to a silhouette or a pattern simply takes a solid contract and the confidence to enforce it. The only truly defensible position in modern production lives in the concept phase. That is where the lines are drawn, the silhouette is set, and the legal ownership is established. The moment those initial variables are locked in, everything that follows is merely contract manufacturing. For creators using modern digital tools, like Depix, the mandate is to fully define and legally own your vision digitally, well before a physical prototype is ever cut. Curious, slightly challenging. If a competitor can physically manufacture your product more cheaply tomorrow, what exactly do you still legally own today? Design decisions are cheap as a sketch, but brutal once tooled. See every angle before you build.